You know how I talked about my neighbor and I both had our parking spots shoveled?
The saga continues.
It does. Because I saw her and she was like, I can't believe somebody parked in my parking spot. I'm like, yeah, I know. She's like, and they stay there for days. I'm like, I know. Came home today. She's in my spot. Happy Tuesday. Is it Taco Tuesday for you, Mike Swift?
You know, I've skipped the last couple of Taco Tuesdays. I don't know what's going on with me. I need to get myself checked.
You really do. I feel like I have Taco Tuesday guilt. And I seriously do because there's like sometimes where I'm like, man, I'm really craving like tacos tonight. I'm like, what if I call it Mexican Monday? But it's not really quite the same as Taco Tuesday. So like I hold off on my cravings for Tuesday.
So you're talking to a guy that will take tacos any day of the week. I will make it Mexican Monday, Taco Tuesday. I don't know, something that begins with W.
Southwest Wednesday,
Wednesday. I like it. See, we're right there.
not
I
quite the
like
same.
it. I mean, it's a stretch, but we're there. We're
You
there.
know,
Taco Thursday. I'm down.
you can make it work. I'm Stephen Lewis. That's Mike Swift. We just kind of get together and chat about stuff that's going on in life, in the world, and whatever. Last week, we kind of picked back up off of where we were. Uh, Tonight, I have some interesting thoughts because I've just kind of, since it's been 48 hours now, and I've kind of just sat back and watched what people had to say and kind of, let that sink in. But I will yield to you to see what is on your mind tonight, young Michael.
What's on my mind tonight is just getting back to who I am. And what I mean by that is I went through and I can say still going through a really deep uh, uh, mental struggle. I was depressed, um, disconnected from other people, my family, friends, and I was in a really dark place. And recently, I've reached out to friends and family and just going back to the things that I knew when I was who I was before.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been an incredibly refreshing journey. To reconnect and just to be reminded of the person that I once was. And it's been a very rough journey. I'm still on that journey. But it has been so wonderful to feel, I don't want to say important, but it definitely feels good to be noticed again, to feel like a human again.
I'm with you on that. I think the mental struggle is definitely real. And I think that I think the pandemic kind of made it more acceptable that
Mm,
you could have the mental struggle. Because I think before, if you had any kind of mental struggle, it was rub some dirt on it and get back in the game. Like there was,
hmm
you know what I mean? It was kind of ignored. And I think that, going through similar situations, ending relationships, especially long ones, if your job and career isn't going well, like it's just a mental kick to the balls. Like, and with a
hmm
wide foot, so you get both. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
I mean, like, it really is. But when you say it's refreshing to be the person you feel like the person you used to be, elaborate a little bit if you don't mind. Like, I'm just kind of curious because, again, I can tell when you're down because I've known you forever. But like, I haven't, like, your sense of humor has always still kind of been there, even when you are. going down. So I'm curious to by what you mean by your statement of be refreshed to being the person you used to be. I'm just interested to see
Well,
what you thought.
the sense of humor was a mask. Honestly,
Sure.
it really was, and it's I was just disconnected. I was depressed. I sat in my basement here for days, weeks at a time. And the crazy part was I don't think I was really aware, as crazy as it seems, because I guess, to especially to someone who's never gone through something like that, it's like, well, how do you not know?
Yeah.
But I really was unaware where I was mentally until I was ready to snap out of it.
Okay. Interesting.
And it's just sometimes you don't realize the situation you're in until you're on your way out of that situation or you're able to look back and reflect. And for me mentally, I was completely checked out and I had no idea that I really was until I really took a hard look.
Sure. I can see that. I think, you know what, and I think it's kind of funny because you reach out to people, and I've had so many people over the last couple of years just reach out to me and say things. And I know they have the best intentions in the world, but there are just times when, even if it's something that is really spot on, like they hit the bullseye, you just don't want to hear it. And
Mm-hmm.
you're just, you know what I mean? Like you're kind of stuck in your own. Like, I mean, I the lessons I've learned, like the worst thing that I ever did was learn to care about people other than myself. I swear to God, because I was so much happier when I was a selfish prick. I really was. And my mask was being the good guy sometimes, at least publicly. Like, but I only like, I mean, you've known me forever. Can you ever remember a time when I really haven't cared about myself or did things to benefit myself first? I mean, it's, you know, that weren't considered job related and necessary.
I mean, I wish I could disagree with
But you
you.
can't. I mean, even the stuff that I did for charity, there was a little bit of ego there that was like, yeah, look what I did. You know what I mean? Even though I had the best intentions in the world. And then somewhere along the way, I started caring about people other than myself. And I think it's messed me up. Like, I really do. Because when I was at that stage, nothing phased me. If you walked out of my life, cool, don't care. If you
Mm-hmm.
didn't like something I did, cool, don't care. Like, it just, it is interesting to reflect and figure out, you know, when you go through that kind of stuff. And I think, for you, watching you, struggle over certain things, it's kind of one of those things where you want to help someone, but at the same time, there's stuff that they got to figure out themselves. And even if you're saying all
Right.
the right things, and even if you're trying to lend a hand here and there and do things, it's still, they have to be the one to rub the dirt on it and get back in there, kind of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
it's
No,
interesting.
I understand. And it wasn't it's still I mean I still have my struggles. Um but I'm so happy that I got help. I have a therapist that I talked to, David. He is awesome. Wasn't sure about him at first, but
Dude,
he has been he's been completely awesome, and has been, of course, an ear, but also reminding me that I have worth, and that I do have a place in this world, and the world is my oyster. I can go out and do things, um, that I can set out to do, and meet those goals. I can start a podcast.
yeah.
There are things that, and podcast was like a subcategory, but I'm able to check that off now, and a big part of that, I can attribute to getting over myself and reaching out for help. And I'm so glad I made that step. And I really hope that anybody listening to my voice right now that is on that fence of should I or shouldn't I, get out and do it. Get
Don't
out and do it.
don't be afraid of therapy. People have like
Yeah.
this like, oh, I don't want to see a therapist. That means I'm crazy. No, it doesn't. Like I had, and I haven't been able to find a good one since, but back in circa 2000, I guess would have been 2008-ish, maybe. I carried around a lot of anger towards various things, a little bit towards my parents, definitely my sister. Um, I went through some stuff with a previous girlfriend that I still carried around a lot of anger. And I started to realize in the relationship that I was in at the time that I was probably inadvertently ruining that because of all the stuff that I was carrying around, even though that I might have been pretty good at hiding it or thinking that I was keeping it on at bay. It's just interesting to see how someone who doesn't know you, they give you a different perspective that you couldn't see yourself. But I do think it requires the
Mm-hmm.
right therapist, because I've tried a couple of therapists since then,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, no. I'm like, I don't.
Yeah.
The only thing I want to tell you is the plot of the movie I watched last night. I don't want to tell you anything in depth in my life. And, you know, and I've had other people that like try to play therapy. And I'm one of those people, and this is probably my downfall in job. If your resume is not stronger than mine, I don't care what you have to say. You're not, I don't listen to you. I hate that. I know it's an ego thing, but I'm the same way in life. If you haven't had more life experiences than I have, don't try to give me advice or try to tell me, you know what I mean? Like it's easy to tell someone. My stepdad uses this example because he sponsors so many people in AA. No alcoholic is going to listen to someone who's never had a drink. Like, tell you know,
Mm.
someone who hasn't had a drink telling you, hey, you shouldn't drink. Really, dude, you don't know what it's like. Like for someone who hasn't had comparable life experiences to what I have to tell me, you know, what's wrong with my life, I don't play that game, and I don't like it, and I don't listen to you, and you're better off just not wasting your breath, because I'm a firm believer that you have to have lived before you tell someone else how to live. You know what I mean? And you have to have struggled
No, it's true.
before you tell someone
Mm-hmm.
else how to climb out of a struggle, because it just doesn't hold any weight.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, you can give some advice and you can help out, but you're not going to be the one to fix that person's problem because you haven't lived enough. You haven't seen enough,
Right.
you know, things in your life. And everybody's struggle is different. Sure, there are some situations that are comparable, but everybody
Mm-hmm.
walks their own path. And I'm also a firm believer that you don't know what you're going to do in certain situations until you find yourself in certain.
Right.
You can say
Mm-hmm.
you're for this, against this, believe in that, but until that situation punches you in the face, you don't really know what you're going to do, because at that point in time, then you're like, well, maybe I'm not for this. or, I
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
don't really think.
Yeah, I'm living it. I'm living it because there are situations that I've gone and well, that, if that were ever me, that's
Right.
not the way that I'll handle it until I found myself in that very situation going, well, well, damn.
Uh,
How,
some
how'd I, how'd that happen?
some days there's just not enough rum. There really, or gin or whatever, or maybe you're buffalo.
Vodka,
You drink beer, wine, and most light colored liquors.
whatever it is, whatever it is, yeah, no, it's there was a thought here that I wanted to circle back to something that you said, and gosh, now I lost it. Give me a sec. Hang on a sec. You said something
Me being
about
selfish.
no, 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 no. Um, Now I can't remember now. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. Oh well. And it's gonna be one of those things that hits me once I listen and post, and I'm like, damn it. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Oh, well, it's a good.
Yeah, well.
That's a good thing. I think, you know, I appreciate your struggle in the sense that you're man enough to face it. And I think the other thing is, I think sometimes people want you to come out of a situation faster than what you're ready to do. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
People like,
Yeah.
dude, you've been this way for like 2 months. Let's go. Let it go. Move on.
Yeah. Right. And it just doesn't work that way. I mean,
Doesn't
that's
work that
how
way.
I mean, nobody wants it any faster than I do, believe me. But these things do take time. They don't happen overnight. That was another thing that I had to almost learn with my therapist. That is, it's gonna take time. It's there are a lot of things that I needed to hash out and just kind of work through. And I wanted it right now. I wanted it to be I wanted to be back to me overnight. And I had to learn that these things take time. But you got to want it as well.
You do, and I think a lot of times, depending on what the situation is, it makes you more guarded. And
Hmm.
I think, like, I think sometimes you gamble and you're like, all right, well, if I don't start putting myself out there and take a risk, there's not going to be any reward. But I think the
Hmm.
problem is sometimes you still take the risk and either a connection gets broken or you feel like you just got used or whatever, and you're right back there. And I think that makes it harder to try to take the risk the next time. But I guess it's the cliche way of saying, when you were learning how to ride a bike, you probably fell off it 3 or 4 times. You got to keep, pedaling and until the bike starts going in the direction that you want it to go in, which is just a lot of times easier said than done, depending on what the weight of your struggle is.
Moral of the story is just, I mean, I can't beat that drum enough. Just get help. If you have struggles, even if it's temporary, seek help. It can make a world of difference.
I concur 100%. I'm pro therapy, but again, got to be the right one. Oh, and be cautious of those online, you know, therapy sessions that you can buy online now. You've probably seen them in your social media feed.
That's actually what I did. That's actually
Oh, you did?
where
You better
where
help.
yeah, that's what I do. Yeah. Well, no, I didn't get better help. The one I use in particular is called Talkspace.
Okay.
It was through the insurance through my employer at the time, and I've just kind of stuck with it. And I did find I was lucky enough to find a great therapist the first time around. Um, but it did take a leap of faith. It wasn't something that I could just. It took a few sessions for me to really be like, okay, I think he and I could work together, and it's worked out.
And if your therapist starts with, look, I think we should just both take our clothes off so we can just be more comfortable, like that's probably not the therapist you want.
That's OnlyFans, Steven. That's your OnlyFans account.
Sorry. Well, the Super Bowl interfered with Solo Sunday, and I was going to do a big, discounted thing, but it didn't work. Whatever. Thanks again.
Well, I guess now you can make up later today, now that you've put that out. I always hate revisiting my vodka the second time. Thank you.
What's on my mind tonight is probably what's on everybody else's mind, and that is make it make sense to me because I really don't think it makes any sense. And I'm talking about, and I've sat back for 2 days and I've watched people before and after. Why is everyone so triggered over 15 minutes of Spanish music on their television on a Sunday night during the Super Bowl? I just don't understand. Like, I've seen, you know what I didn't want to see? 80 something year old Mick Jagger damn near looking like he was going to blow out a hip any second when the Rolling Stones performed for 15 minutes at the Super Bowl. But I watched. I didn't need an alternative. And I think what I've seen is because there even was an alternative, it creates more of a divide, which is what I don't think we need right now. And again, I saw a lot of good comments about the Bad Bunny performance. And I think what we watched it together. And I have a criticism of it, and I will tell you my criticism of it in a second. But I thought from a production value, it was very well produced from an
Hmm.
audio standpoint, from a staging standpoint. The couple that got married was a real couple, and that was cool. And
Hmm.
they basically did a kind of a play of what the Puerto Rican lifestyle is like, or what people perceive the Puerto Rican lifestyle to be like, or for those who aren't uneducated, what it is. And it was basically, you know, the sense of family, the sense of music, or whatever. And music has always been one of those things where you don't necessarily have to understand it to appreciate it. If you were a little kid
Right.
and you went to see the opera when you were in elementary school, most of the time they're singing in Italian.
Hmm.
You know a word, but you understand what the music is and what it said without knowing what the words are. And I don't understand what triggered people about Bad Bunny, because Benito is not the first artist to sing in Spanish in this country.
Right.
I want to tell you a little something about Richie Valens. La Bamba is not sung in English, and we never had a problem with that. In the 90s, as god awful of a dance as it was, the Macarena is barely in English.
Yep.
You know,
Yep. Yet it is still a wedding staple.
for
I mean,
Despacito
you
from
DJ, how many times have you played the Macarena in the last couple
a,
of years?
a few.
I
But
mean,
Despacito is mostly in Spanish. I used to love being on the radio.
mhm,
Why can't you play the English version of this? Because there isn't one.
there isn't one.
So, but it's kind of like, but you still kind of dance to it. I just don't understand what was so triggering about that. I really truly don't. It was 15 minutes of your life. You're telling me you couldn't have that on TV while you went to the bathroom, grabbed another beer, ate some more chips and salsa, hit the buffet table one more time. Like, was it really that triggering that you had to have an alternative, and not a very good
Which,
alternative?
no, which by the way, side note, this was an actual something. This is actually something that they came across a study in New York during the performance of Bad Bunny. The I don't know whatever department that monitors water conservation, but they said that there was less water consumption for that 15 minutes during the Bad Bunny performance, and then very promptly a spike in water usage right after the performance ended, which meant everybody held it and went to the bathroom
Well,
right after the performance. This is a legitimate statistic that they came across. Who studies that stuff anyway?
and I've seen four different sets of numbers. And let's be honest, the NFL owns a day of the week. Nothing you do is
Hmm.
ever going to top them from a
It
number
doesn't matter.
standpoint.
Yeah,
And we have seen it with I've seen it in radio ratings, I've seen it in research, I've seen it in everything else. It's very easy to manipulate a number. It really truly is.
it is. That is true. So
But
we'll take a group of males between the ages of, let's say, 21 and 36. Let's mix the groups so that it's not all predominantly white. Take that sample and go, oh, look, we've got this huge block of people that actually watched the programming. I mean, I'm just using that as an example as how you can twist the numbers.
and I'm trying to figure out, and again, I have friends that are devout Christians, and
Hmm.
all of my life knowing them, the idea was I want to try to walk in the path of Jesus, which is a very tough thing to do. And if you, the whole thing used to be, I can tell you about the Bible, but I want to live by example. So it was walk the walk or talk the talk. And I understand that's not an easy thing to do, but I'm trying to figure out. I understand why Brantley Gilbert did the show, because Brantley wanted his kids to be able to see him perform halftime during the Super Bowl. And he's a big, like, you can have my gun when you pry it from my cold dead hand. And Brantley's also a very nice guy. Nothing against him, nothing against Lee Brice, nothing against Gabby Barrett. And honestly, I partied with Kid Rock before. I don't have anything against Bob. What I do not understand is, why is Kid Rock the headliner for your Christian based halftime show? And that's what I can't figure out, when, there are better examples of that lifestyle, Toby Mac, that could do that job than Kid Rock, because he opened the show with Ba Wada Ba, which was a hit 36 years ago, 35
Something
years
like
ago,
that. Yeah.
something
Yep.
like that, where the first lines are, "This is for the questions that don't have any answers, the midnight glancers and the topless dancers." So that's your family friendly lyric. Okay. I'm not even going to get into the lyrics of all of his songs, But like,
Yeah.
and I don't fault someone for finding Jesus later in life, but I don't make it make sense to me because I don't understand. I'm not bashing Kid Rock. I'm not going to bash the lip sync performance. I've been to Kid Rock shows. Bob puts on a hell of a show, but I also like,
Oh, that was a nice little jab.
what? What was?
It was such a backhanded compliment.
Oh, it's a Kid Rock plaque
I'm
on my
not. I'm not
wall.
gonna. Not.
See it?
I'm not gonna bash. I'm not gonna bash the lip sync.
At lip syncing. No,
But you did.
but I'm so used to it because every halftime show everywhere has always had some kind of like audio issue to it.
Well, yeah.
Like so,
Hmm.
and I know they pre-taped it. I know there's issues for whatever, but I'm just trying to figure out like the Kid Rock. I know, like it's just okay. What would Jesus do? Jesus would not take a shotgun and shoot Bud Light cans because they don't like the endorser. Like, what would Jesus do? Jesus may or may not be at a backstage at a Kid Rock show because I've been backstage to a Kid Rock show. I've seen the lines of cocaine. I sat next to Pamela Anderson, who was so drunk and high that she could not utter sentences and sit up that I was like, I can't even take a picture of this because I'm embarrassed for her. So, like, I've seen the stuff that goes on when the strippers are in the cages on the sides of the stage and everything else. So I'm trying, help me make that make sense. How is that your guy now? That's what I can't figure out. And I'm not bashing, I'm really truly not. And I don't hate, I would probably go to another Kid Rock concert because they're a good time. They really are. We worked in Michigan. I think it's like a law. You have to go to at least one of them. I mean, if the odds, if the choice is pay your electric bill or buy tickets to a Kid Rock show, I think at some point in time you have to make the ticket choice and not pay the electric bill. Like I get it to an extent, but I'm just trying to make it make sense to me.
I'll tell you why, or at least my opinion as to why. And it's I can sum it up in one word: ignorance.
Okay.
Ignorance. I mean, really. And that's such a um bold word, but ignorance. People just fear what they don't understand. If I haven't taken the time to understand this thing that is in front of me, and maybe because I don't quite understand it, I fear it a little bit. And
Okay.
because of that, my defenses are now up.
I can see
I
that.
don't want to know about it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to be a part of that because it's not me. It's nothing that I want to be associated with because it's not a part of me. It's
Okay.
not something that I'm accustomed to.
I can see that. I get the ignorance side. The criticism that I have two criticisms. One is of the NFL entirely. The other one is of the halftime show. The one thing that I think the halftime show should always be, and it used to be for a long time, is you have to, and this is something that Kid Rock has always done very well. Know your audience and play to the lowest common denominator. And that's what Kid Rock was before this whole Christian turn and everything else. Kid Rock was the guy who was saying things that nobody wanted him to say or whatever. That's who his audience was before social media. He was the guy that he was going to be crass at a party. He was going to say what was on his mind, and it probably, got him in trouble with certain circles at the time. But play to your lowest common denominator. And on even for the halftime shows that I didn't like when it was Shakira and Jennifer Lopez, would have been a fantastic show if that were 2001. But I give them credit because they did 15 minutes of music that everybody had heard at one point in time before. They played the hits. Bruno Mars played the hits. Prince damn sure played the hits and set the bar that still hasn't been.
I don't care what anybody says.
Still
Yeah, bar none.
it is
Bar none.
It is from here to Prince is the bar.
Mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
I would have played. That was my critique of it. I know what he was trying to accomplish, and it's hard to fault the message that he had at the end because America is a melting pot, whether you like it or not. That's just what this country has always been. But I would have played hits. I don't like Cardi B. And secretly, even if you hated the pandemic, we all owe the pandemic a big favor because Cardi B was going to go on tour that year and then music got canceled. So we didn't have to witness that. So thank you
Thank you, COVID.
for that. And then a year later, when she was going to go on tour again, she got pregnant. So keep that coming. But I like, but with
thank you, Offset.
thank you. But that being said, I would have probably had Cardi B there to do I Like It just because everybody's heard that song. Everybody knows what that song is. And I think that's where it just did not, you didn't have the mainstream appeal to everybody. The people who knew who Bad Bunny was recognized some of those songs. The people who did, the people who didn't were like, what is this? I've never heard this before. And because it's all in Spanish, you're probably less likely to go seek that out now. Or maybe you prove me wrong and you do. So I would have went with hits. If you're playing the Super Bowl, I would have went with hits. Give me.
I mean, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, give me 15 minutes of hits and let's leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely understand that because there was, I'll be in a little bit of disappointment that I didn't hear some of my favorites from Bad Bunny, but at the same time, I think I kind of understood the direction that they were kind of going with. You know, we're going to leave this all completely in Spanish, and you know, I just kind of understood what they were doing culturally with the music, and unfortunately, some of his best hits are hits that were, you know, they were hits elsewhere. So I get it. I mean, I wanted to hear Mia. That is one of my favorite Bad Bunny songs, even though it's Drake, but it's one of my favorite songs. So I mean, I get it. I get it. I was disappointed that I didn't hear some of the songs that I knew from Bad Bunny, but I still enjoyed the performance as a whole.
But I can make the same mistake. I can make the same complaint about Kendrick Lamar the year before. Like if I was Kendrick Lamar, I would have done Pray for Me from the Black Panther soundtrack because everybody knows the song. Like I would have, you know, Not Like Us is fine. Like the stuff that he did, I just would have, you have, for that audience, I feel like you have to branch out a little bit and just play that show should be McDonald's. I'm going there for a quarter pounder. Give me a quarter pounder with cheese because that's what I want from that show. I don't want to go to McDonald's and be like, nope, no quarter pounders today. It's fish taco day. What? You know, like that's not what I want. Which leads into my second point. My problem with the NFL, and this has been going on for years now, you have let it be political when it shouldn't be. People watch the Super Bowl and go through sports for an escape from that stuff. And yes, I know with social media, with X, with everything else, all those athletes have a massive platform. I get that. I really, truly do. But I feel like you would better serve your product overall if you took the politics out of it and you just played to everybody. For years, the NFL had been a problem with the fact that if you were under the age of 60, you weren't allowed to play at the halftime show, and you geriatricked it up for everybody, and that didn't appeal to anybody. Well, now you've gone a different direction, and you've got artists that are some way making a political statement in some capacity. And I think that is where I think people have gotten a little bit tired of that, myself included. I don't want a political message during the halftime show. I really don't. I just want to be, and again, I get it. Everybody dislikes the government in some capacity. I understand that, but let me have an escape. I can hear your dislike of the government in 150 other places. I don't need that to be in the Super Bowl right now. Like, and I think, and a lot of that probably has to do with Jay-Z, but also throw a country artist in there, throw a rock band in there, change it up a little bit. If you're going to ask someone to sit through, if you're going to ask someone who doesn't like Kendrick Lamar to sit through 15 minutes of Kendrick Lamar, then next year do Luke Combs. And the person who loves Kendrick Lamar, ask them to sit through Luke Combs for 15 minutes and make the same sacrifice and learn something and do whatever. And I think that's what the lack of what's going on is, and the NFL has let themselves get too political, and they're guilty of it because now we live in a world where clicks matter and everybody takes Colin Kaepernick. For right or wrong, the message that Colin Kaepernick had was a good message. The problem with Colin Kaepernick's message was the way he went about delivering it. And because of that, the message got lost and it all became all these guys kneeling during the national anthem. And that's what the focus came. The message was over here. The focus came with we're going to kneel. And that got
I
lost
agree with that.
because of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it became
Mm-hmm.
political. And it's been political ever since. And you can tell that the NFL was profiting off it, and TV stations wanted to profit off it because outside of the Thanksgiving game and the Super Bowl, at no point in time were you ever watching an NFL game and you heard the national anthem. It never played other than Thanksgiving and the Super Bowl. When Colin Kaepernick started kneeling through the national anthem, oh my God, they scanned that sideline during the national anthem for every game that they televised because they played up to it. And I think that's
Yeah.
what everybody needs to get away from a little bit. ESPN has gotten political and has just destroyed itself in ratings and with everything else because I think people want certain things to be an escape and they want to break from everything they're going to hear in every aspect of their life. And I think that's where, the Super Bowl, the NFL, and TV networks to be in general are failing at that too. And I wish they could take a back seat. So again, I just say what's on my mind, make it make sense to me because I just don't understand like why people.
Well, I do want to interject. I slightly disagree with you only in the sense that for
Very
years, athletes, I know, right? Athletes have used their platform to get across their beliefs or their
close,
feelings.
but they did it in a
And
subtle
the
way.
but that's the point that I'm trying to make is that media has changed throughout the years. That outlet has changed. I mean, before a subtle statement could speak 1,000 words, and now the athlete is able to say exactly what's on their mind, and be heard 1,000 times over. And I think so. Well, the social media is the reason for that, and I think what's happened is things have kind of evolved with that change. And because of that, you've got a closer look at exactly whatever message that athlete or organization wants to bring across, right or wrong. You've got a closer look at that than you had before
Right.
because of social media.
But
And
I think
oh, go
no,
ahead.
I agree with you. I think social, and I think that's where I think like it's become clicks and it's become whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times your message gets lost. If Jordan had something to say, he used to write it on his wristband when he
Yeah.
would when he would play a game. And when he was asked why he didn't speak out more, his response was, "I want both sides to come watch me play. I'm not trying to isolate one side over the other." And I just think there are certain things that I think just need to be what they are
I agree. I agree with that.
and just not kill me with yet another message because I can click my YouTube feed right now and I can see all the hatred and all the arguments for or against whatever, and you just get enough of that sometimes. Like sometimes you just want to be just entertain me for 15 minutes, and but if you look back at every if you look back at every halftime show for the last few years, it's been of a political nature, whether you realize it or not. Beyonce had the anti-police thing. The Kendrick Lamar did his thing. Bad Bunny did his thing. Lady Gaga was has always been a big advocate for, gay rights and everything. And all of those are fine causes. But I just, when you turn on the Grammys or any award show, they're all going to spew their message during that. Like it's just that's where you just know. Like you can turn it on and figure it out. When they're interviewed on the red carpet now, it's their political message, like everywhere. And I
You
just
you can tell me whatever you want about the Kendrick Lamar performance. I still believe that was 15 minutes of an ass whooping for Drake. I don't
1,000.
care how political what political angle that you try and spin on it. That was like it was almost like the whole meeting was like, all right, Kendrick, what do you want to do here? All right, so I'm going to spend 5 minutes, subtly bashing Drake here, and then another 2 minutes subtly bashing Drake here. All right, but what about the message? What message do you want? Okay, equality and peace for all people, but then I want to bash Drake some more here.
And you're not wrong. It's just, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where things go. And I hate that religion is being used by the government that is supposed to be, there's supposed to be a clear separation of church and state, but our government hasn't figured that out yet. And it drives me crazy when you go, well, you know what? The Bible's against homosexuality. Yeah, but the Bible's also against premarital sex, stealing from your neighbor, and doing about 100 other things that you all mother effers in Congress do on a regular basis. So you can't really have it both ways. Like, it's kind of, you just can't. It either has to be one or the other. You can't bring, I hate it because they're all, whether you're left or right, they all bring religion into it when it suits them. And that drives me insane. Like, you cannot do that. It's either all the way in or it's all the way out. But you can't use it when you see fit and go, you know what I mean? But at the same time, we're one nation under God, but there's a separation of church and state.
That I was just going to bring that up. That never made sense to me. And honestly, I looked at it the other way for most of my life. I looked at it the other way around. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand. We're supposed to be one nation under God. Why is there a separation of church and state? Now I see as to why that's in place.
Right. So you can't say a prayer in school, but you can let me know that the Bible doesn't approve, but that the Bible doesn't approve of homosexuality. So wait a minute. You can't have it both ways. Like, it can't, and that's what make it make sense to me. That's what's been on my mind for 2 days. Make it make sense to me. Well, and you won't be able to. And I know I'm ice skating uphill by even asking, but it is what it is. So
from the minds of two radio guys
who know nothing at the end of the day.
I was just gonna say, who've gone around the world and collected philosophy from everywhere.
Someone's about to at me with their list of facts. Well,
it's coming.
It always does. Follow us on the socials, like us. If you ever want to talk with us, feel free to message one of us, and we'll certainly have you on, and you can spew out useless knowledge just like we do.